Hello and welcome to the very first part of this training. Thank you for joining me. And in this session, we'll be talking about something very important and foundational, and that is who are you? But we are going to start from who you are not. Many of us, the challenges we are going through right now is based on how we define ourselves. And unfortunately, most people define themselves by what they are, what they have, where they are, and so on. So many other things you could define yourself by except who you are. And that leaves us in position, in certain awkward positions, in certain situations. It creates unnecessary tension where there should never have been one. It makes crisis easy in certain situations where there should never have existed crisis. Maritally, socially, economically, and so on. A lot of people go through things that they should never have gone through because of how they define themselves. Now, imagine that you were married, you never expected that you'll be one day single again. It didn't cross your mind. But here you are, it has happened to you, and you feel lost because you can't address yourself as married anymore. Probably it's because you lost your spouse. Probably it's because your spouse left you. Whichever it is, once the process got successful, you know that something has changed about your status, and it's difficult for you to process that, and it leaves you in crisis, identity crisis. But that happens when your self definition in that social aspect of your life is based on what you are. You see, your definition for self must be fundamental, and it must always be rooted in who you are, never what you are, never what you have, never what position you occupy, never what you have experienced in the past, never the what is in your bank account. All those other things can make you feel happy one day and crushed another day. And then you will not be consistent in your ability to produce results because your effectiveness is also dependent on your emotions. And your emotions is linked to your identity. People are easily influenced when they define themselves in certain ways. And in fact, manipulators help you define yourself in certain ways so that they can use that thing to control you. You are the one that will decide that that will not happen to you. And that is why all this is important. If people know that what triggers you, they can easily make use of that to control you. But once your self definition is rooted in what is fundamental about you, what is so fundamental that nothing else can change it, then you are grounded. You are in a position to stand whatever the crisis that come. Even if something happens that looks so big that naturally you can't identify it, if you understand what it means to be who you are, then it's easy for you to know what next to do. But while others are crushed, while others feel lost, while others don't know what next to do, you will know exactly what to do because you know who you are. And so, the question is, who are you? I remember many years ago, someone asked me that question. I was in a class, I entered a class, and I saw a stranger there. I know it doesn't belong to the school, yet he was standing alone in the classroom. And so I wanted him to identify himself, and he got upset with me. And in my bid to say that you don't even know who I am, you're reacting this way, the next thing I heard was, who are you? And for the very first time in my life, someone asked me a question and I heard what he was not asking me. He wasn't asking me if I had relationship with the principal of the school. He wasn't asking me what I do in the school. He wasn't asking me my position. All right. He wasn't asking me who I know. Probably I am connected to one important personality in the country. That was out of it. He was asking, who am I? And for so many people, that question is something they can't answer. That was exactly my position that day because I was lost. I realized for the first time I cannot say who I am, and I really wanted to know. I hope you are also willing to know today. Well, you are here, you have to know. But I promise you, it's not something you don't know. It's just that we don't have it in our consciousness to the point that it can influence our decisions. It can help us regulate easily when we are in highly charged situations. Some people will not take another step, to achieve certain things just because of how they define themselves. Once you start seeing yourself by what has happened to you in the past, what relationship you've had, what you have in your pocket, what you don't have in your pocket, you know, anytime you start defining yourself by what you have or you don't have, what you have experienced or you've not experienced, what you can do or what you cannot do, you limit yourself, you limit your opportunities, you limit your happiness. You limit exactly what should make you achieve what you should achieve. And sometimes that leads to confusion. You've always wanted to be a professor. Now that you're a professor, what next? Many people feel lost and they suddenly realize that this is not really what I was looking for. There is something I was really craving for. It is not this professorship. There's something I was craving for, it is not having a child. There's something I was craving for, it is not the marital status itself. Once you lose what you define yourself as, you will feel lost, you will feel confused, you will feel displaced, you will feel exposed. And that is not a good place to be.